Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo came into the world on October 16, 1936, in the bleak frost-bitten village of Yablochna, nestled in the Sumy Oblast of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. The Soviet Union was a sprawling empire of iron-fisted control and collective dreams, but for the Chikatilo family, it was a place of unrelenting hardship. His parents, Roman and Anna, were kulaks, small-time farmers who had been crushed under Joseph Stalin's brutal collectivization policies. The Holodomor, that man-made famine of 1932-1933, had ravaged Ukraine, claiming millions of lives through starvation, engineered by the regime to break peasant resistance. By the time Andrei arrived, the echoes of that horror still lingered like a toxic fog. Food was a phantom. Bread was a luxury he wouldn't taste until he was 12. The family scraped by in a single-room hut, sharing a bed with their infant son, surviving on grass, leaves, and whatever scraps the collective farm deigned to dole out. No wages for their labor, just the grim privilege of tending, a tiny personal plot to stave off. Death, Andrei's birth itself, was marred by whispers of abnormality. Doctors suspected hydrocephalus, water on the brain, a condition that left him with lifelong urinary tract issues and chronic bedwetting that persisted into his late teens. His mother, Anna, was a force of unyielding severity, her own traumas from the famine, hardening her into a disciplinarian who meted out beatings with a ferocity born of desperation. Every accident in the night brought lashes, physical reminders of failure that seared shame into young Andrei's soul. But the true specter haunting his early years was the story Anna repeated like a curse. His older brother, Stepan, born before the famine, had been stolen away by starving neighbors, murdered and cannibalized. No records confirm Stepan's existence or this gruesome fate, but the tale burrowed deep into Andrei's psyche. It planted seeds of fascination with violence and consumption, a morbid curiosity that psychologists would later trace as the root of his depravities. "I was always afraid of being eaten," he would confess decades later, his voice trembling with the echo of childhood dread. World War II descended like a biblical plague when Andrei was just 4. Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, turning Ukraine into a scarred battlefield. Roman Chikatilo was conscripted into the Red Army, only to be wounded, captured, and shipped to a German POW camp. He languished there until 1945, returning a broken man branded a traitor by his own people for surrendering. The stigma clung to the family like damp rot. Neighbors spat curses, and young Andrei bore the brunt at school. The occupation was a nightly terror, bombs shrieking overhead, villages burning, and families fleeing to cellars or ditches as artillery thundered. Andrei huddled with his mother and the ghosts of famine, witnessing atrocities that no child should endure. In 1943, Anna gave birth to a daughter, Tatiana. Under circumstances shrouded in horror, rumors swirled of rape by German soldiers, possibly observed by the wide-eyed boy sharing their cramped space. The war etched survival into his bones, but it also fractured something fundamental: trust, security, and the illusion of a benevolent world. School began in September 1944, amid the post-war famine's cruel encore. Andrei arrived in rags sewn from potato sacks, his frame so frail from hunger that he fainted in class. Classmates, sensing weakness, pounced. He was small, timid, and bespectacled, easy prey for taunts. About his coward father and his perpetual dampness from bedwetting, bullies pinned him down, forcing humiliations that compounded his isolation. Yet Andrei turned inward, finding solace in books. Undiagnosed nearsightedness blurred the blackboard, but he memorized texts voraciously, excelling despite the odds. Literature became his escape, a realm where he could command narratives of heroism and revenge. By his early teens, he channeled this intellect into fervent communism. At 14, he edited the school newspaper, penning propaganda pieces that glorified the party. At 16, he chaired the Young Pioneers Committee, organizing marches and rallies, immersing himself in Leninist tracts. It was a facade of control in a life spiraling toward chaos. Adolescence brought fresh torments. Puberty arrived, but so did the crushing realization of his impotence. Erections eluded him, a betrayal of his budding manhood. Girls, once distant crushes, became sources of agony. He fixated on a classmate, Lilia Barsheva. Her laughter a siren call he dared not answer. Then came the incident that would scar him indelibly. At 17, in a fit of frustrated longing, he assaulted an 11-year-old friend of his sister's, pinning her down in a moment of blind rage. He ejaculated without penetration during the struggle. No intercourse, just violence yielding release. Shame flooded him. But so did a dark revelation. Aggression stirred what tenderness could not. He buried the memory, but it festered, linking pain and pleasure in his fractured mind. At graduation in 1954 was a hollow triumph. Top of his class, the only boy from Yabluchny to finish the full curriculum, Andrei applied to Moscow State University. He passed the entrance exam but was rejected, likely due to his father's wartime record, a black mark in the paranoid Soviet bureaucracy. Undeterred, he labored briefly as a metal worker in Kursk, the grind of factory life fueling his resolve. In 1955, he enrolled in a vocational school for communications technicians, graduating in 1957. That same year, conscription was called. 2 years of mandatory service in the Soviet Army, stationed first with border guards in Central Asia, then in a KGB signals unit in East Berlin. Andrei proved diligent. His record was impeccable, no infractions, just quiet competence. Before discharge in 1960, he joined the Communist Party, a calculated step toward stability in a system that rewarded loyalty. Homecoming was a rude awakening. Back in Yabluchny, Andrei pursued a widowed neighbor, his first real romantic foray. But impotence struck again, failures mounting until village gossip branded him inadequate. Humiliation peaked in a suicide attempt, a noose in the shed, his mother's screams pulling him back from the brink. Rescued by neighbors, he fled the whispers, vowing never to return defeated. In 1961, Andrei relocated to Rodionovo-Nezhvitayskaya, a dusty town 20 miles north of Rostov-on-Don, the industrial heart of southern Russia. As a communications engineer for a state telegraph office, he rented a modest apartment, piecing together a facsimile of normalcy. Tatiana, now grown, joined him briefly, sensing his loneliness. Concerned, she introduced him to Feodosia Odnacheva, Fina, a sturdy, practical woman from a neighboring village. Andrei confessed his dysfunction early, expecting rejection. Instead, Fina saw potential in his steadiness. They married in 1963, a union more partnership than passion. Sex was mechanical. Conception required manual aid. Their daughter, Lyudmila, arrived in 1965, followed by son Yuri in 1969, both products of determination rather than desire. To the outside world, Andrei was the ideal Soviet family man, provider, party member, and attentive father. He doted on the children, reading Pushkin aloud, shielding them from his storms. But beneath the veneer, impotence gnawed. A silent accusation of incompleteness. Career ambitions simmered. Enrolling in correspondence courses at Rostov State University, Andrei earned a degree in Russian, language and literature by 1970. Teaching beckoned, a respectable path for an educated proletarian. In 1971, he landed a post at a vocational school in Novoshakhtinsk, molding young minds in grammar and grammar. But shadows followed. Complaints trickled in, lingering touches, inappropriate stares. In 1973, during a swimming lesson, he fondled a 15-year-old girl's breasts, ejaculating on her in a haze of compulsion. Months later, he repeated the assault on another student. Whispers spread of masturbation in class and peeping into dormitories. Parents fumed. Administrators shuffled him to another school. The pattern repeated. Rostov, Shakhty, always the same accusations, never formal charges. By March 1981, a mining technical school in Shakhty booted him amid fresh molestation reports. Disgraced in education, he pivoted to a supply clerk role at a tractor factory, low profile, but with travel privileges across the Rostov Oblast. It was freedom of a sort and opportunity lurking in the margins. The beast stirred in 1978. December 22nd, Shakhty. 9-year-old Yelena Zakotnova, errand-bound in the snow, accepted Andrei's offer of warmth in his secret shed. He led her inside, the door creaking shut like a tomb ceiling. Rape was the intent, but impotence mocked him. Panic surged. He strangled her, knife flashing in the dim light. 3 stabs to the gut, blood hot on his hands, and release, orgasm amid the dying. He bundled her body, hurling it into the Grushevka River. Days later, it surfaced, wounds screaming serial intent. Evidence pointed to him, blood trails near his home, a witness spotting the pair. But Fina's alibi held. Police, under pressure, coerced Alexander Kravchenko, a petty criminal with a rape record. Beaten into confession, Kravchenko was hanged in 83, an innocence, blood on the system's hands. Silence followed. 3 years of uneasy dormancy. Andrei claimed phantom kills, unverified shadows. Then, September 3rd, 1981, Larisa Tkachenko, 17, a runaway poet with dreams too big for her threadbare life. At Rostov's bus station, Andrei posed as a friend, luring her to the Don River woods. Alone, he lunged. Strangulation, fists, knife. Failed penetration led to frenzy. A stick thrust inside her, teeth tearing a nipple free. He stuffed her mouth with dirt and leaves to silence screams, ejaculating on the mutilated corpse. Newspapers from his bag veiled the horror. The body lay undiscovered till dawn. 82 unleashed the flood. June 12, 13-year-old Lyubov Biryuk, walking home from the store in Deryabkino. Andrei ambushed her from bushes, dragging her to a thicket. Clothes ripped, 22 stabs, abdomen, chest, eyes gouged, genitals slashed. He hid her in leaves, arousal spiking with each cut. That year, 7 fell. Olga Stalmachinok, 10, eviscerated in a cornfield near the Don. Her 50-plus wounds a canvas of rage. Yuri Kiselev, 12, vanished from a Shakti station and was found castrated in the woods. Each kill refined the ritual. Vulnerable prey at transport hubs, runaways, prostitutes, children, promised rides or snacks, led to isolation. Stabbing mimicked thrust, violence the only aphrodisiac. He bit tongues and nipples and excised organs to chew, echoing Stepan's ghost. Eyes removed lest they imprint his face. Superstitious tick from wartime. Tale is Navimento 83. Escalated, 15-year-old Laura Sarkisian knifed near a Rostov station. 10-year-old Dmitry Patashnikov, lured from a post office, gutted and emasculated. Igor Gudkov, 7, was drowned and then stabbed by the Grushevka. Vera Shevkin, 19, a factory worker, met 38 strikes. Sergei Markov, 14, a schoolboy, disemboweled in a field. The toll, 11 souls. Police murmured of a lesser rub, forest strip killer, but Soviet dogma dismissed serial murder as capitalist rot. No public alerts, just quiet panic in Rostov. 1984 was an apocalypse. 15 victims. March Dmitry Patashnikov redux? No fresh horrors. Tatiana Petrosyan, 32, and daughter Svetlana, 10. Mother and child slain together, throats slit, bodies dumped. Anna Lemashova, 19, a student, was stabbed near Shakti. Irina Lelyuk, 13, vanished from a bus stop and was found with eyes gone. Natalia Shakova, 16, mutilated in woods. The pattern: frenzy post-failure, cannibalistic bites, semen on corpses. September arrest, loitering at stations, groping women. Blood type A, mismatched AB semen. His rare non-sequitur status hid the truth. Released, he fled to Novocherkassk as a traveling clerk. Resuming in August 1985, Natalia Shalobnina, 18, 30 stabs, 1986-1990. The zenith of terror. 1986 alone. Lyubov Golovaka, 15, in Chaltire Woods. Throat cut, breasts severed. Alexei Krivoshchekov, 11, was drowned and then knifed. Boys now dominated, mistaken for girls in baggy clothes or targeted for novelty. Ivan Rogov, 12, castrated. 1987, Yevgeny Muratov, 16, a hitchhiker, gutted. 98, peak 19. Alexei Voronko, 9, genitals excised. Tatiana Klimova, 16, a prostitute, disemboweled. Risks mounted. Kills in public fringes. Bodies half buried. By 1990, 50-plus were confirmed. Andrei confessed to 56. The investigation lagged, crippled by bureaucracy. Mikhail Fedosov led early, logging 36 cases by 1984. Viktor Burakov took over in '85. Profiling with psychiatrist Alexander Bukhanovsky. A sadist. 45 to 50, educated, impotent. Married, driven by necrosadism and violence as surrogate sex. Over 100,000 interviews, 1,000 detentions. Operation Forest Path in 1990, undercover at remote stops. November 6th. Final kill, 22-year-old Svetlana Korostik. Stabbed 62 times near dawnless cause. Bloodied, Andrei fled. Sergeant Igor Rybakov noted him, arrested. November 20th, 1990, searches. Yielded rope and a knife, trophies of death. Denial held, but Bukhanovsky's profile, read aloud November 29th, cracked him. Flattered Andrei wept, confessing 56 in detail, sites, methods, and undiscovered graves. I am a mistake of nature. A mad beast. Psych evals. Sane. But borderline personality. Sadism rooted in trauma. Hydrocephalus, famine fears, impotence. He reenacted crimes, sketching scenes with eerie precision. The trial opened. April 14th, 1992. In Rostov, Andrei caged like a rabid dog. Relatives baying for blood. Judge Leonid Akubzanov presided. The prosecution listed 53 counts. Andrei ranted songs, curses, claims of radiation poisoning, and Ukrainian nationalism. "The militia framed me," he bellowed, exposing himself, gnashing teeth. Families fainted at details, eyes eaten, organs gnawed. The defense pled insanity. Bukhanovsky testified to borderline sadism but competency. October 15th, guilty on 52 murders, 5 assaults. Death, no mercy. Appeal denied. February 14th, 1994, Novocherkassk prison. Shaved and suited, Andrei begged, "Don't blow my brains out! The Japanese want to buy them!" A single shot to the occiput ended him, cremated, buried unmarked. Faina and the children vanished under new identities, ghosts of a shattered life. Legacy, a scar on Soviet myth. Exposed investigative, Rotkravchenko's wrongful execution, quashed posthumously. Inspired by Citizen X, probed in Hunter of the Devil, Bukhanovsky's profile revolutionized. Russian forensics. Andrei, a monster forged in famine's forge. Impotence's fury, proof evil blooms in neglect's soil. 53 lives snuffed. A nation's illusions shattered.